For new theory, you gotta get this place out.
Yeah. Maybe that's it.
You're better.
Maybe that's it.
Give more time, you better.
So far, I'm not going to practice, guys.
So down to 7. We're at the 8, just brain ankle or something. Weekday lunch. I can't handle it.
So I run home quick before this.
What are your parents doing? My dad's an insurance guy. Oh, and my mom's just
Yeah, you no, just you.
Really? Yeah, they're building a new house right now.
Oh, there's that. Gary more than ours.
Right now.
Too good. All right.
Rare chance to rare chance.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's what that's. Yeah,
One time involved. It was a fight with the family. I guess he came out.
They're all excited all the time.
Yeah, ours. Yeah. So now, join us right here. Larry's here.
Three things need to happen. We have to be Denver has to be and Addison. Some cool guys like twice, some once. I think either way.
I was thinking he was there. Originally, I was over for the chat.
Remember that? Yeah, there is a criteria for that. It's probably not there.
Yes, sir. I'm saying it.
Sometimes it's like big questions like
Hey.
By the time they're 5 competitions. By the time they get they didn't beat all the trailers. They got all that.
You know, we talked about
I'm not trying to get
I just found his address. Yeah, that's what I got to do. So I was hoping it was the right one. Do they like that? They like the horse? Oh, they're not
competitive set up. He's for definitely 72 foot deal. Research on those distances, what about 45 plus? And I guess if you look at 72, it's also different. Guys, Larsen, I graduated. He was in California and moved up to Washington, state of Washington. They were lost putting.
Is that a plan?
Before that, he had built
Is the microphone?
putting gates for people.
Good. Come down for your win Saturday yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would have celebrated that one for a few days.
Once we got up there, to come on VH, it was over.
Yeah. One more. Wouldn't that be great?
Very nice. Finish on good.
That's a great one. Great one. Very inspiring to have those guys come together and pull it off. That's what it's all about.
It really is.
Yep, I'm really having fun. And it's probably changed a couple times over now.
So fun.
But no, great win. It's happy for it. It was a good weekend overall, besides that last half second. But yeah, yeah, no, just
Out there with 6.5 girls.
Hardrocker athletic.
I know, but I can't be in 3 places at one time. Both my teams were in both places.
And then I found out from somebody else, he does
letter, thanks for
All right, welcome everybody to the Hardrock Luncheon today. First of all, I want to thank Subway. It's our last one here. Our next one will be at Pizza Ranch South. So, big thank you to Subway. I am not going to talk a lot today. I have some announcements at the end, but I want the coaches to come up and talk about this weekend. We had an exceptional Hardrocker weekend. And we need to talk about that and highlight some athletes. And so I'm going to let the coaches do all the talking today. We're going to start with Coach Steve, and he's got two special guests with him, which is always a treat to have some students. And then we'll go with Ryan and Eric, and then I'll close it out.
All right, well, thank you. First off, I got to say, Coach Glenn, that win over Colorado Mines, that was kind of the talk of the weekend amongst the track kids. That was pretty impressive. At Larsen, all I could hear when I got home was about how the women got a sweep. So, it's a good weekend all around. We went down to Alamosa for the conference meet and had a pretty good weekend. Things kicked off pretty well. When the first event was the women's vault, and Brad, I think you've got a picture, a couple of clips from that. Erica Keeble came in, and she opened here at 375. You'll get it working here in a minute. Anyway, she opened at 375, and what was the second attempt? She'd already sat around for an hour. Which is always the hard part in the vault and the high jump, is if you come in later, it means that you tend to sit around, and so everybody else gets to do their full warm-up and everything, and you sit around for an hour and they give you one run-through, maybe two, but you don't get a bar up or anything like that like you would in the normal warm-up. So she came in at 375 here, and you can see she just flies over. What is that, about 12.3?
Yeah, that was 12.
Okay, so that's 12.3. Then she passes on the next height. She hasn't won the competition yet, but she passes on the next height. That's a veteran move right there. A lot of vaulters would be afraid to do that. And so she comes back to the next height, which is 395, and clears it just as easily as you saw her at 375. This is a couple of our guys. The guys went next, and 440 was the opening height, which is about 14.4. Is that right, Erica? Yeah. And so for them at 14.4, well, one of our guys hadn't cleared higher than 428 all season. So he cleared about 14 foot. So he opened higher than he cleared all season. Our next guy opens 2 centimeters below his highest height for the season. They both cleared on first attempt. And this guy here is Casey Skillingstad. He's a senior for us. He cleared 15.5 over the weekend for a new PR for him. That puts him in our top 5 all time in the vault. And he wound up finishing 5th, I believe it was. I'll check my notes here. 6th, excuse me. With a personal best there at 15.5. The other two guys, that first attempt clear was the difference between scoring and not. So they wound up tying for 8th place with each other. So at least we didn't share the points with anybody else. Okay. So that got us off to a real good start, and really we just kind of kept rolling throughout. It just felt like it snowballed, and that's the snowball you want to be a part of right there. Erica wound up with a meet record for the RMAC at 395, which is 13.3, and she's still sitting 3rd in the nation as of this weekend. So she's all set for her trip down to Pittsburgh, Kansas here in a couple weeks. She'll get to come talk to you a little bit about that here in a minute. But I want to talk about a few of the others as well. So we took 22 athletes down. 21 of them had individual events, and then the 22nd was there was a key part of both of our relays. And so of those 21 athletes in individual events, we had 27 individual events that we contested. We equaled or improved on our season best in 21 of those performances. We had 5 PRs. We got another provisional qualifier. Andy Ferris ran a 154, which converts down to about a 151 in the 800. As of yesterday, he was 21st on the declared list for nationals. They'll take the top 16 for sure, and then they fill after that. So right now, we're kind of just sitting on the edge of the chair waiting to find out whether he gets in or not. But he finished that race. The difference between him being in for sure and him not being in for sure is 7 feet. So really, really close. I mean, it's literally 1 step for a distance runner at that point is the difference between in and out. So we'll have to see how that plays out. The other guy that's going to come up and talk to you today is Jonathon Murray, who we see here. And Murray came out and he was expected to win. We expected him to win the 400. I don't know if anyone else did in the meet, but we expected him to win the 400. He also got into the 200 and was the anchor for our 4x4. And so that meant that he had, if he made both finals, he had 5 races in 2 days, which is a pretty big load. And he got through day 1 in pretty good shape and was the #1 seed going into the 400 final. And I'd say he got pushed pretty close to his limit there. He managed to win it by 5 1,000ths of a second. It's about an inch and a half. So we were pretty excited watching that one. It took him about almost 10 minutes to get the result out. So it was a lot of waiting and a lot of nerves going on there. Some of the other key performances this weekend. We had both of our distance medley relays scored. The men finished 8th, which is right where we expected them to be. They finished within about a second of when we convert the times, within about a second of what they ran back at Black Hills State earlier in the season. And on the women's side, we finished 7th, which is right where we were expecting to be there as well. Adelaide Stratmeyer's time converted down to a 5:07, so converts that another second faster in the mile. We had Annie Janis set a PR in 60 meters. She ran 60 meters under 8 seconds, 7:97. And Jonathon, on top of his win in the 400, was 6th in the 200, and our 4x4 finished 5th. And then can't forget our throwers. Almost did. Dan wouldn't be happy with me. So our throwers finished. Wes finished 6th in the weight, and Cody Allen finished 4th in the shot, picking us up some valuable points there as well. We had a few goals coming into the meet. One of the goals on the women's side, we were trying to finish 10th or higher. We've never finished 10th or higher in a conference meet. They hit it right on the head, 10th place. We would have needed about 10 more points to move up higher than that. But we had our highest point total for an indoor conference meet as well. Really, really happy with that. On the men's side, the goal was 40 points and 8th place or better. We were 36 points, but we managed 7th place. So it shows you how much you know about a conference meet going in sometimes. But really, really happy with what we got done over the course of the weekend and over the course of the season. We had a total of 26 top 10 performances this season. We had, I don't even remember the exact number now, and if I counted every time Erica cleared a new PR, it'd be even higher, but I think we had at least 11 new school records set, something like that over the course of the season. And so just a really, really good season for us overall. Obviously, as I said, Erica's isn't done. We're hoping Andy's isn't done yet. But for everybody else, we have to quickly shift our attention outdoors because we're going to be down in Boulder here in 2 weeks for our first outdoor meet. And so we need to be ready to go for that as well. Let's see. At this point, I think the more important thing is to bring up the guys you really want to hear from. Come on up.
My name is I've mostly been doing track all my life, going into high school, middle school, I've done AAU and stuff like that. And coming in here, I had a lot to prove, and eventually, I guess my first meet indoor, I ended up breaking my old school record with a 400 meter, and I caught like 48.771. Yeah, so started out the season pretty well. And managed to kind of keep that same pace, getting under 50 throughout the whole year. And just coming into this meet, I was ranked about third or so. And the week coming into conference, about two people that were in front of me moved out, so that put me in first place. So coming in, kind of had a lot of nerves, had a lot to prove and stuff like that. And this the first day of the meet, went in, had the best time, so seated first, 200. Not too worried about the seat because it's a main event, but did well in that as well. And then coming in the second day, 400 meters, I was actually placed pretty well because normally the first day I was in lane 6, which is the very outside lane, and normally when you're 400 runners, you don't like to be on the outside lane because you kind of run blind, you don't really have anybody to pace off of. So the second day coming into the finals, I was in lane 5, and that's like most of the preferred fast lane. So I had that Adam State dude that I kind of very close to at the very end. I had him to pace off of, so coming in, I definitely knew on that first lap I had to pass him in order to have a good chance. So did that coming in about the last home stretch or so. I was feeling pretty good. I know normally like when you're running and stuff, when someone's like next to you or coming up to you, you kind of feel them or sense them. And I couldn't really initially do that, but the last 10, 20 meters or so, I could feel them coming up on me, and turned the corner of my eye, I seen him right there, so I knew I had to dive or do something to get past him. We both dived. I almost fell. Ended up getting there first. It took like you were saying, 8 to 10 minutes. We just staring at the clock. Normally, like as soon as you pass the finish line, it takes about 30 seconds almost just to see who won. But we were just sitting there and staring at the clock for a while to see who won. And after that, eventually they put the time up and got first. So yeah. He's got any questions?
Are you a freshman?
Senior. That's why last year we track.
Okay. So what would be your goal for the outdoor form?
Well, right now, I currently hold the indoor record for the 400. And I'm outdoor, I'm currently placed second, by about a second or so for outdoor. So my goal would be to get the first place in outdoor for the 400. So first place right now is about 47.36. So I'm at all time about like 48.66. So that's about where I was at last year all time. So if I'm getting that indoor right now, I should definitely get that outdoor because normally indoor your times are a little bit slower than outdoor. So to get that overall 400 meter record outdoor would be my goal.
Hi, my name is Keeble. I'm a sophomore computer science major, pole vaulter. I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but over this past summer I moved to Nashville, Tennessee with my family, so that's home for me now.
Tell us a little bit about how you came to be involved.
Well, I just did track senior year of high school, and I was just a sprinter. And I came to school not even really expecting, I went to without even really considering being on the track team until Coach Schaefer last year called me on the phone and he was like, so when do you want to join the track team? I was like, why not? About a little way into the season, Coach Schaefer he kind of looked at me and was like, I think you'd be a good pole vaulter. Why don't you try it out? And I was like, no way. That is way too scary for me. I'm not launching myself into the air with a giant pole. And he kept kind of pushing at me to try it out. Eventually I did, and I was terrible in the beginning. And then, like with the help of my teammates and with the help of really good coaches, I started improving really quickly. And eventually got the school record last year. And then for the indoor season and the outdoor season, I kept improving, got the outdoor record too. And then this season, I increased my indoor PR by 2 feet, which is crazy. And I can only account that to my teammates and the awesome coaching, the like great athletic program here. Really helped me improve quickly. So I'm really thankful that Coach Schaefer was pushed me to try to pull all things around. Something I'm super passionate about. You guys have any questions?
You only did track 1 year in high school?
I did it freshman year and senior year. Freshman year I was also just
Yeah.
What made you decide to come to school?
Well, I actually had a neighbor back in Green Bay who came to school here, and I was looking for a small engineering school. And this one, I had never even been out to South Dakota or been to the school before I decided to come here. So it was a little scary, but it just seemed like such a good school and like such a good price and so, like good graduation rates and job placement rates and everything seemed like the right place for me.
Are you going to be able to increase your height by 2 feet each in the next 2 years?
That's the goal. Thanks for going 20 feet in 3 years.
It's gonna be more poles. So when you get to these bigger meets now, but you prepare any differently, either physically or mentally, to go to these bigger meets now?
That's a good question. So I've been preparing mentally a lot different this year than I was last year. Last year I was always so worried and I was so scared and I was like, oh, I'm gonna mess up, like I'm gonna no height. I was so worried about it. But this year I just decided I'm gonna have fun because it is really fun. Like when you're like vaulting, or like the feeling of being flying through the air is so cool. And so that's kind of what I concentrate on now, just like having fun with my teammates and just performing the best that I can. So that's the way that I like to prepare myself mentally this season.
You need a longer pole to go 2 feet higher?
Yeah, we're actually working on that right now. We're about to get two more poles.
Eric, when you travel, when you guys go to pit, how many poles will you take with you?
Probably 6 to be safe. Yeah, and those are really tough to travel with. We'll have to take a van.
Yeah.
You can't just put them in the mail and ship them down there.
And explain to them why you take that many.
Well, so there's one that you need for warming up. The ones that you don't really go in the air with, you just use to do your little run-throughs. Then there's another one that you start to warm up jumps on, and then as you get warmer and more comfortable, then you go up to your medium-sized pole. And then once the adrenaline is going really fast, then you have to go up to a bigger pole because you start blowing through them. And then you bring well, if we're going to nationals, it'll probably be safe to bring 2 extra big poles just in case I start flying.
You ever broke up?
What was that?
You ever broke up all?
No, thankfully. Like that, I've heard it hurts.
Steve, you forgot the something. You checked something. Done now, Brad?
She's a senior.
Well, if anybody was listening to me a couple weeks ago, I proclaimed that we were going to get either a road sweep or a home sweep, and I was going to come up here and drop the mic. There you go. Curtain call, thanks, Coach Picker. I thought you wouldn't clap, but I just go sit down. But man, lot to talk about. What a tremendous weekend for, geez, a lot of reasons. Obviously, track and field competing really well. Coach Glenn getting a huge win, us getting a sweep. The one thing I really want to point out, someone very, very special to me, and just as a friend and booster, a guy I get to talk to a lot and spend a lot of time with. He's not going to be happy with me right now, but recognizing Larry Saturday, just long overdue. He doesn't like that stuff. He doesn't like me right now talking about this, but thank you, Larry Simonson, for everything you do, for not just women's basketball, but Hardrocker athletics in general. Can't thank you enough for, one, your friendship, and what you do for our student athletes here. So thank you again. All right, basketball talk now. Friday night, Colorado Springs is a really good team. They, you talk about teams playing well at the right time of year, and they certainly are. They very, very scary. They kind of changed their lineup a little bit and shortened their bench and playing some of their better players a lot more minutes. And two of their kids, from the first time that we played them, had really improved and were pretty much doubling their offensive output since the first time we played them, playing really good basketball. So that was a scary game for us, no doubt about it. They're tough to guard. They space the floor really well, put shooters on the outside, really pound inside their post, who's their leading scorer. Just a good team that we beat, and played really, really good basketball on both ends of the floor, offensively, defensively. First time we played them around, we switched some things defensively. We just made some minor corrections that we should have done a lot better the first time. But then we switched our zone up a little bit, our coverages and how we wanted to defend them in our zone. It really had them confused for a majority of the game. They didn't know if we were man or zone the majority of the game. And just a tremendous effort by our young ladies following a game plan and then executing it. It's one thing to have a game plan and, think from a coaching standpoint, boy, we really got them. But it's the players' efforts going beyond that to execute the game plan and do it quite flawlessly. It was a really well executed game plan, tremendous game plan by Coach Bonlander, getting that put together on the scouting report. Then getting the kids one more time, just the way they executed was just about flawless. We held their leading scorers in check. We turned them over a number of times, and then with their turnovers, we were able to get out and score and play in full court quite a bit. And then just a lot of really good individual performances by our ladies. All 7 of them really contributed in a lot of different ways. Kind of the standout moment during the game, it was about a 2-possession game. We were getting a little dry. I thought we had about 3 or 4 empty offensive possessions. We were still being aggressive and still getting good looks, just weren't making baskets. And I didn't know it at the time, but Taylor Molstead had 17 points and she needed 18 to crack 1,000. And we were running offense, just our standard motion offense. She comes off a baseline pin screen, gets a tremendous pass in the corner, and bam, knocks down a 3 to make it. That was pretty much the dagger right there. And just the way it happened, you couldn't write a better script. For her to be 1 point away from 1,000, and then us having a couple of empty spells and hitting a dagger. And again, I was wanting to call a timeout in our next made basket. 1, to get a little rest, and then 2, to make a couple of defensive adjustments that we needed to talk about. And I'm kind of in the squat position. Taylor puts it out, the official's right here, and I jump up a little quick and grab on the official because I got a little lightheaded at the moment. I just kind of bareheaded the official, and he's laughing at me. So you want a timeout? So you're bear hugging me for a timeout? So yeah, I need a timeout. A little lightheaded. And you kind of hit me at the moment. Oh, geez, that's Taylor's thousands too, as the kids start to swarm her right there. But what a, again, kind of a storybook deal right there. Taylor was just fantastic all weekend. And I'll say it right now. Taylor's effort over the entire weekend was kind of one of those situations where that young lady was not going to let us lose. She wasn't going to let us lose either game, Friday, Saturday. It was just one of those things where, hey, everybody jump on my back, all right, and let's go. I'll take you home. What a great performance by Taylor, standout, and then everybody else again. All 7 ladies had really big time contributions on both ends, offensively, defensively. You know, Jessica Lorenz and Melissa Johnstone Friday, that game was quite a bit better matchup-wise for us, for those two to be playing. And they were tremendous defensively, rebounding the basketball, and again, their leading scorer was their post player, so they did a really good job inside. And that was kind of a big part of our game plan where, you know, Springs is so dangerous from the arc where, you know, a lot of times we'll double the post. That is kind of one of our base defenses. We'll look to double the post and get it out of their hands and hopefully create some turnovers. We weren't able to do that. We were more concerned with guarding the arc Friday, and so we were one-on-one, matched up in the post, and those guys did a fantastic job. And you kind of flip the script to Saturday a little bit where, again, you're talking about matchups and, you know, who's a better matchup for us each given night. Well, Molly McKay was a much better matchup for us Saturday, and she was fantastic. Just a really good defensive game. It rebounded the ball really well for us because Colorado Mines is a tremendous offensive rebounding team, and we did a really good job there. But that victory Friday night over Colorado Springs was a really good win for us. You know, we had won some games up till then, but you know, kind of secretly and privately, I'm like, okay, let's get a couple victories over good teams now. Okay, teams that were you know, vying for playoff spots, will be in the postseason tournament. Let's get a couple of those and be able to do that Friday, and really gave us a ton of confidence going into Saturday. And Saturday, you know, for those of you there, Colorado Mines, they're a dangerous team. They got a lot of good players, really good scheme, very physical team. The first half, we were tremendous on the defensive boards. We did a really good job of rebounding the basketball, and just again, very good offensive performance by us. Didn't have a whole lot of dry spells like we normally had. You know, we're putting double digits on the board each quarter, which is a big goal for us. And both things, probably the key to us offensively, both games, where we were 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio in both games, and that's a big statistic for us there. And we're taking care of the basketball. The first thing I'll point out there is obviously we're getting better. We're taking care of the basketball. We know where our scoring opportunities are. We're passing it better. That means we're becoming a much better offensive team. The kids are getting better there for sure. Yeah, flipping again to Saturday's game against Colorado Mines. You know, they bring a lot of pressure to you. They look to turn you over, and they look to play in the full court. And we took care of the basketball and did a really good job there. No, again, I just can't say enough good things about how we rebounded the basketball. I got a little concerned to start the third quarter. Colorado Mines, their first 4 baskets were off offensive rebounds. That was a little bit concerning. They had only 4 offensive rebounds at halftime, but I think they finished with 14 for the game, somewhere around there. So we gave up quite a few too many in the second half. But we got timely ones. We got timely ones for sure. It got a little close in the third and fourth quarters there. To give you a recap, we had 56 points with 5.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and we ended the game with 56. But it wasn't for lack of bad offense. We were getting good shots. It was just kind of one of those, the ball just wasn't going in. We were getting good looks. We got to the rim a few times. Had wide open jumpers. They just weren't going in. But, you know, I really was thinking that last 5.5 minutes, boy, we just need 1 basket, 2 baskets, you know, 3 will do it. And I was really comfortable with the way we were defending. We did a much better job on their leading scorer, Denali Pinto, who's a freshman. She's going to be a handful to guard the next 3 years. For those of you that are at the game, that's a really talented player there. And they were putting the ball in her hands to go score. And we just, nothing that, again, kind of talking about kids executing a game plan. We've talked about it before. And this is a kid we need to pay attention to, and kind of the term that we use is, 5 kids need to see where she's at and defend her. All right, we're going to bring help on her everywhere she's at. Didn't quite do that the first half. She did have half of their points at halftime. Did a much better job of that, of sealing her gaps, closing off her driving lanes, trying to get the ball out of her hands to pass. But even if she did shoot, she was highly contested. We did a really good job there. And kind of back to my point here, where it was 56-50, all right, 5.5 minutes to go. They scored 2 baskets. That's how comfortable I was with our defense at that point. Don't get me wrong, I would love to, put up 10 more points, because that would have iced it for sure. But I was really confident in the way we were defending and rebounding the basketball. And it came down to 1 possession. To be very transparent with you, that last play of the game, Coach Tinker asked me about it yesterday. They had the ball with, what was it, 7 seconds, Coach? Something like that? No, 4.3 or something like that. Is that what it was, 3.4? They had the ball on the sideline. Screwy rule, again, to kind of explain it to you. So there's about 2 seconds differential between the game clock and shot clock. And they had only 2 team fouls. And so if they wanted to foul 3 more times, that would have iced away the clock. And so, tough decision for Coach Simpson for Colorado Mines. Do you foul and put us at the line, or do you just run out the clock? And she decided to, take her chances with us shooting it. We went 1-4 flat for Sammy. I think a pretty decent call on our part. Sammy makes a tremendous play, gets the ball to Molly McCabe, wide open on the baseline for about a little 10-footer, where Molly's about an 80% shooter from that spot right there. All we needed to do was hit the rim, hopefully. Well, she didn't hit the rim, and it was a shot clock violation. And this was one of those many rules of basketball that I didn't know. So what happened was they rebounded the basketball and they started dribbling, okay? And in women's basketball, if you call a timeout, you can advance the ball to the 3/4 court. But they started dribbling, which you're not supposed. If you dribble or pass the ball before you call a timeout, well, that doesn't allow you to advance the basketball. So I learned the shot clock violation supersedes them dribbling the basketball. So that was, I told the officials right away, that's a bad rule. That's a really bad rule. So they didn't get to advance the basketball, even though they kind of did make the error. They advanced the basketball. We had 3 team fouls, and I called a timeout. We kind of looked at what they were running. We had seen them run it before, but with the alignment, there's a lot of different things that they were able to do. So we weren't going to necessarily tell our kids, hey, this is what they're doing, this is who they're going to go to. Our game plan was, we were going to foul. They inbound the basketball. Molly McKay makes a tremendous play on the ball. Very good play. We did try to foul. After that, I'm still a little confused. Official said the ball went out of bounds. I don't know. I had a pretty good angle. The ball did not go out of bounds, but whatever. So it kind of didn't work in our favor, actually, because foul or out of bounds, there was 0.3 on the shot or on the game clock, so they were forced to kind of throw it in and try to make a tip play at the basket, and we were able to obviously get a hand on it, and the game was over. But again, you talk about kids following a game plan and making adjustments during a game and executing flawlessly. I just can't say enough good things about our ladies right now and the way they played 2 games. I have never been more proud of a basketball team in all my years of coaching. It's tough to put into words how tough your kids have to be with 7 healthy bodies to go beat 2 really good basketball teams. And I have not stopped smiling since Saturday. I just have not stopped smiling. I'm in just pure amazement of what we've been able to do. We got extremely tough kids. To bounce back from the adversities that we've faced this year and continue to compete and play with a ton of pride and ton of energy, you know, it's a culture building experience for us that I'm really, really proud about our team and program. And hopefully we can continue on into next year. Those are the learning experiences that we need to continue to follow for us to get this program to where we need to be. But we are definitely enjoying our time right now in the way we're playing. And those young ladies need to be proud of themselves, because what they have accomplished over this past month is just nothing short of amazing in my mind. So all credit to them for the way they have continued to compete and just want to get better, and that's exactly what we've done. We got a tough game Friday, there's no doubt about it. I don't know where Black Hills stands in the conference. Somewhere along the line, someone has told me that they need to win all 3 to be able to qualify for the RMAC tournament. With the teams that have won or lost, I'm not so sure about that right now. They may be in, I don't know. But I do know one thing, we have, in my time here, we have not yet won up in Spearfish, and that's definitely a big goal of ours coming this Friday. So if you guys have nothing going on Friday, I suggest you take the trip up to Spearfish. It's a pretty easy 45-minute, 50-minute drive, okay? Weather's supposed to be good, it's supposed to be cold, but the snow is staying away, so Interstate 90 should be just fine for us to get on up there and help us cheer us on, because it will be a hostile environment, as we all know. Those are games that are fun to play in, and I know the young ladies are really looking forward to it. We had it's always kind of funny this time of year. Obviously our season is over. Our last game will be Friday, and you just kind of wonder as a coach, okay, will our kids be engaged? Are we still excited to play? We shot for 45 minutes yesterday, and it was probably one of our better workouts of the year. So 5 minutes into our workout yesterday, man, I was at ease going, yep, we're going to be ready to compete, and we're really looking forward to playing Friday. So we're excited. BH is playing well. They won 2 this weekend as well. They are shooting the heck out of the basketball, so we're going to really have to get in the stance and guard and continue to take care of the basketball and rebound. Again, you guys have heard me say it enough, when we rebound and not turn the ball over, we're a really tough team to beat. So if we can continue to do that, it's going to be a tremendous battle Friday night. Brad, you got some clips for us here? I tell you what, the crowds were just electric both nights, and you guys certainly helped us. The band was phenomenal Saturday. The cheerleaders were outstanding both Friday and Saturday. The announcer was absolutely on fire. He helped us a ton. Here's a tremendous play. Sandy Stefik penetrating the middle. Nice little jump shot there by Melissa Johnstone, who's a tremendous shooter for a big post player. Here's Anna Haugen leading the break. Good fundamental jump stop, kick out to Taylor for a big time 3 for us there. This is just I tell you what, this is a big time basketball player right here. That's a tremendous effort. Getting a defensive rebound, putting a ton of pressure on the rim. Really good play there by Taylor. Here's Anna Kombalia, who had a huge game for us. She had 2 threes that were just huge shots for us. Great play for us there. There's a pass that we've been trying to make all year, and we finally find it. You can see how excited I was getting that finally, one of those split screens for us. Shot or buzzer beater right there at the end of the 3rd quarter. Big play, Anna Haugen, who had 2 double-doubles on the weekend. Before I forget, Anna was Defensive Player of the Week for the RMAC for the 2nd time. Congratulations to her. There's another big 3 by Kombalia. But she has really improved for us the more minutes she's logged. It's been great to see. I believe this is Taylor's 1,000th point right here. Big time 3. You can kind of see me stumbling into officials' hands there, and everybody just going to congratulate Taylor. Again, just a dream scenario for the young ladies, the way we were able to finish our home season on Barfelder floor. We couldn't have scripted any better. Here's a picture of our practice squad. I wanted to put this up there to recognize these young men. I don't know where we would be without these guys right now. We'd still be asking Coach Tinker and staff to help us out. Not that that's a bad thing, Coach Tink. You guys are phenomenal, but these guys are a little younger, a little sprier, can go a little longer. close to basketball players. Well, you know, debate's up for debate there. I'm not quite sure, but these guys have just been tremendous. These guys are competitive now. I tell you what, about the second week they started working with us, you could just see them really getting into it. And you know, we teach them the opposing team's offense, and it just kind of gets comical at times when one player or a couple players aren't running the offense the way they're supposed to, and they kind of start bickering at each other a little bit, and it's a pretty good hoot. I really enjoy it. I kind of, for whatever reason, I start watching, hyper-focusing on them more than my own team, which probably isn't a good thing, but it is really fun. And then they compete really hard with our kids. They get us better. They take a lot of pride. They scrimmage against each other, and obviously we put the score up on the board, and those guys want to win, and they have helped us. Again, tough for me to put into words how much they've helped us, and I can't thank them enough. If I could put this on a billboard around town, I certainly would, just to be able to repay them a little bit more. But those 7 young men there, I don't know I don't know where we'd be without them right now. I can't thank them enough. Just tremendous people helping us out. And then, you know, a number of them are former soccer players, 3 of them to be exact, former football player, and then just a couple guys we recruited out of the intramurals. But you know, I think that just really is a good example of, you know, our athletic teams, our athletes working with each other, willing to help each other out. Administration, Jen Buttle has to put a lot of time in. Christina Burke has to put a lot of time in to get these guys eligible to even let us practice. So a lot of thanks to them, and for them to take 3 hours out of the week, getting up early in the morning, staying late in the afternoon to help us practice. Again, I don't have the words to be able to thank them enough. So thank you, fellas, for all you've done. I appreciate that. Any questions for me? I've been up here long enough, even though I can keep going. Coach Glenn is giving me the stink eye over here because he's got a lot of good things to talk about as well. Any questions? Got it all? Good. Thank you guys for all you've done for us this year. Come on up this Thursday, Friday. Watch these kids play one more time because we are certainly playing our best basketball right now. Thank you again.
Good afternoon. You know, Larry does do a lot for our programs, but you know, he really found his true calling when we went to Alaska. He is an excellent band starter when the weather's cold, and he finds a good seafood place where you want to eat at later on. So we do appreciate Larry in many ways. He does a lot for us, and I know he has a passion for these young men and women and stuff, and it's really cool to see him be able to pay it forward to these young men and women. So thank you very much for that. Our weekend obviously went through quite a few emotions, to say the least. We were really excited coming into the weekend. One of the things that we talked about, that we had not beaten a team that was above us in the standings yet, and so playing UCCS first and knowing how we fared at their place the first time, and felt like we really let one slip away, and not hitting our free throws down there and stuff, losing by 1. We really had a good feeling that, you know, we could really get that goal accomplished. And so, obviously, we played an incredible game, and throughout the entire game, I was just really happy with our guys. Our effort was tremendous. There was a particular play, if you were there, where we had 4 guys dive on the floor on a loose ball, and we ended up getting it and going down and scoring, which was just a tremendous hustle play on our part, where they kept trying to, you know, UCCS kept trying to grab the ball off the floor, and we just kept having the guy dive right in there and keep it alive. And so really just kind of showed that we controlled the game for the most part. Unfortunately, at the end, we just failed to connect on some free throws. And again, it kind of became our Achilles heel against them. And so they had a player that was very good, and we did a pretty good job on him. He had 8 threes the week in before against Colorado State Pueblo. And so we knew he was dangerous from the 3, and he got 1 early in the game on us. And then he hit 1 that, I don't know how it went in, but he banked 1 in at the end of a shot clock. And then he had 1 a little bit later. So he had 3 threes on us pretty much through the day, and he was hitting at least 5 a game up to that point for the last, I think it's been last 8 games, wasn't it, Coach D, is what we counted. So we knew he was dangerous, and then all of a sudden he hit 3 in the last minute and a half on us, and obviously the game winner. And just really went from, you know, excitement, enthusiasm, and elation to just pure devastation. And so had a lot of disappointed young men in the locker room. I think the message that we gave them was probably the best thing we could do, is I told them how proud we were of them, because they really felt bad and they knew that they had let one slip away there. But we just wanted them to know that how proud we were of them, because they played a heck of a basketball game. And those type of games, you know, when you think back, okay, well, what do we got to do to get over that hump and win? Because we've lost a few of those games, and I've talked to a lot of old mentors and things like that, and they didn't really give me any more advice than what I already knew, is that it's hard to simulate those type of situations in practice. You cannot put that kind of pressure on your team, no matter how much you put for running. You know, maybe if I told them they'd run a marathon if they missed it, maybe that would maybe good, but that's about it. So it's just really hard to simulate that, and as a team, you just got to continue to put yourself, especially as a young group like we have. It's just great that we're putting ourselves in those positions and being able to experience those, and that's about the only way you can gain that experience, is by actually getting in it in a game. So, you know, for us to be able to do that is great. To go through that heartache is tough, but I really believe it's making us a stronger team. And so overall, in the long run, it's going to pay a lot of dividends as long as we continue to get to that point. And even though some people tell me that, well, wouldn't you just rather lose by 20 than lose by 1 like that? And sometimes you feel that way. But I'll rather lose by 1 knowing that we're right into the middle of it and stuff. So the next day, you know, I know Coach T talked to a couple of guys. I sent our guys a text like around 11 o'clock and just said, hey, guys, you got to remember, we're really proud of you, and it's time tomorrow to flip the page and let's get going again. And they did a tremendous job. They come in the next morning. Obviously, we had Mitchell went down with an injury, and that's a whole other thing. Next year, we got to start learning how to dunk and land. Nobody around us. So that was unfortunate. But Mitch did a tremendous job of being in the locker room. Coach T made a point of it. As we walked in the locker room, even though we were pretty sure he wasn't going to play, he was dressed in his practice gear as if he was ready to go. And I think that sent a great message to our guys. And so when he was able to do that, you just see the rallying point of everybody else. And even though he didn't go out and actually practice with us that day. So then we showed them, you know, generally when we prepare for a team, we look at the last 2 games. And usually draw some clips for the most recent games. And we decided not to do that. We decided to go back. We actually watched the whole first 10 minutes of our second half against Colorado Mines, the first time we played them, where they really kind of pulled away from us. And we just got, as a staff, we remembered that, you know, we really played fairly well, we thought, in a lot of areas. We just had, each time it was a different guy, would just make a key mistake and they would capitalize on it. So we went back and watched that, and first we watched it as a staff to make sure we weren't wrong, because sometimes we're older and our memories aren't as good as we think it is. And film doesn't lie, so we went back and watched that ourselves, and we said, yeah, we need to show these guys this 10 minutes. And I think it was actually fairly inspirational for them to see themselves. Number one, we scored pretty much at will to start the first 5 possessions. And the unfortunate thing was that we made some key mistakes defensively that allowed them to score as well. And we started out down actually got to 5, so we're down 5, but we could never break it inside 5 because we just weren't getting stops. And when that happens, and they are a very good offensive team. You know, they're number 1 in the league, or second, maybe number 2 now. Number 2 in the league in scoring. They're averaging about 84 points a game. They are, I think, the second most efficient offensive team in the nation. And so when they put that kind of pressure on you, where they are scoring and scoring and scoring, it affects you on the offensive end as well. And you can see that burden lay on us as that second half went on. And they were able to extend it out, lead out on us, and we just really struggled mentally, I think, to overcome that a little bit. So it was good for us to see that. And but I think our guys saw that hey, coach is right. He's just not just telling us because that's what coaches do. I think they kind of saw that, you know what? It was a lot of us. It was a lot of us in that game. That was the reason why we were down. And so they really became a became a belief system for them. And as any coaches can tell you, is that if your kids don't believe, then you're defeated right from the beginning. So this to get them to believe that, yeah, we can do this. We can absolutely do this. And even when we didn't have Mitch out there, we had a lot of guys we knew that we believed in could step up, and his shots were going to go to somebody, and we knew that everybody we had out there had the potential to knock them down. So as we went out in the game, obviously, they got out on us right away, and that was a little concerning. But the thing was, is we weren't playing bad. We were actually playing very well. We just weren't scoring. We missed some easy shots early. They knocked down some shots, and I think they got up on a 10-point lead on us right away. We called a timeout, and they came to the bench, and we just reassured them and said, guys, we're still fine. We're going to be okay if we just keep doing what we're doing. Our shots are going to go down, and we'll get back in this. And I think it was during the next stretch where Troy Brady knocked down a couple threes, and all of a sudden the spark started going, and defensively, just an incredible. I thought the night before we played really well defensively, but not even close to what we did Saturday. To be able to hold them, basically almost 30 points below their average, it's not even close to what anybody else has done this year. And basically it's a 40-point turnaround from when they played us the first time. So our guys really stepped up and on the defensive end and put a clamp down. And I think on the offensive end, the thing we did, we didn't turn the ball over. We really shared the ball extremely well. And then we just played with, as we started knocking down shots, you could just see the confidence start to come in. And next thing you know, we're starting to build a lead, and then that lead keeps stretching out. And at one point I looked up and I had to take a double glance. I was like, holy crap, we're up 15 or 18 points on these guys. And fortunately, we were up 18, and you knew they were going to make a push as the game went on. And once again, we failed to make some free throws down the stretch, and they started knocking down a couple shots and put some more pressure on us. And so instead of a 10-point lead, we had 18, and it got to 8, so we kind of lost a 10-point lead again. But, we did finally start knocking down some of those free throws, and that's going to help with our confidence as well in those tight games and things. But we just got to keep putting ourselves in those positions where we can know how to handle that a little bit better. But overall, obviously, just a tremendous feeling to be the one team obviously that knocked them off this year in the conference was a nice feather in our cap. They like I said, offensively, to hold them to that amount of points, I would have never dreamed that we could have done that. I was thinking that we had to probably score about 75 to at least have a chance to win. And I'm, it's nice to be wrong once in a while. So, next game coming up, BH. People say, are you still on cloud 9? I'm not, because I got up on Sunday morning and watched some film. My wife was stranded in Sioux Falls. I had a son stranded in Mitchell, and I had a daughter down in Nebraska with Grandma and Grandpa, so it was quiet at the Glenn household. So I just started watching some film. I look and I get a text from Coach T going holy ball screens from Black Hill State, and my thought was already on to Black Hill State, because that's just it is just another game, but at the same time for us, it is a special game because of our locations and the history we have and stuff, and we just want to go up there and play well, and so that's where we've got our focus on right now. And we let our guys enjoy it. I didn't call them or text them or anything. I let them enjoy it for Sunday and stuff. But once Monday came, we tried to get them focused back on them. They've gone through some things, kind of like we have. They've got some injury issues. Their best player, Frazier Malcolm, I believe, is out for the year. I haven't heard an official confirmation, but he hasn't played in a couple weeks or a couple games. So they've been beat up a little bit. They've got guys stepping up and playing extremely well for them as well and filling the void from losing him. So it's kind of funny, we played way back in December. That almost feels like a whole season ago. And if you look at our rosters, it does look like a whole season ago because we've got a lot of different guys doing different things right now. So what it's going to be like is, I'm sure it's just going to be another battle. Our last 2 games, should be 3 games. When we played them the first time last year, that was totally an error on my part. And it was, like I said, one of the worst probably game plans I ever put together for a team, and it just showed when we got blasted up there. Since that time, we've made some adjustments, and we've been able to do some really good things against some defense. And I think the last 2 games have been in the 50s. So I would not expect anything different. They're a good defensive team as well. They play even better on their home floor. And so for us, we knew we got some challenges ahead defensively to stop them. But I like where we are offensively. We moved up a couple more spots in field goal percentage in the conference. We're up to 2nd in 3-point field goal percentage, which is incredible, considering that when we came back from Christmas, we were dead last in the conference. So just a lot of great things that our guys are doing and really believing in our process that we're trying to build with them. And as we get ready for Black Hills, they're going to be very good because they do have some guards that can get out and run. They like to push it down the floor. Their post play is probably an area where we should have an advantage in the paint because of the loss of Malcolm in there. He's not only was he a good offensive player, but he was a smart defensive player for him. So it's going to be an interesting matchup with us up there, but we're looking forward to it. It's always a fun game. It's a fun atmosphere. I echo Coach Larsen's. If you can get up there and support us, because you've been doing a great job all year long, we really appreciate all the support that we get. And up there, it's funny sometimes. I think it was 3 years ago, Tiffany, when we had that snowstorm, and we had to head up there. And I thought, boy, we're not going to have anybody up here. It was unbelievable, the student section that showed up there, and they must have came getting snowmobiles or something. I don't know, but it was a great surprise, and it really boosted our guys' morale, and we got a great win up there. So, we really appreciate it, and it does matter when you show up and help and support us and get extra loud as well. So, with that said, I know Coach Larsen, boy, you did stretch it out, didn't you? Okay, so let's take some quick questions. I know everybody's got to get back to work here, so. Yes?
Two young men that sit on the bench and I've never seen them play, and
You're probably talking about Zach and Caden. They're redshirting this year. At home, we let them go ahead and suit up and get out there and get some warm-ups, and I always tease them a little bit about, having pregame All-American records and all that kind of stuff. So they do a great job. In practice, they do a tremendous job for us. And it's hard when you're not going to play in that situation. But they come every single day, work hard. Caden is a big, strong kid, and he bangs our guys around and gives our posts a really good look in practice. And Zach is, once he kind of started figuring out the system and some things like that, now he's a lot more comfortable. And if we're not guarding him, he makes our guys pay. And he knocks down shots, and he's going to be a good player someday for us because he's a heck of a shooter, and he's a really smart kid, and he plays extremely hard. Yeah, Larry.
What did the Colorado Mines coach say to you after the game? What type of sentiment do they have in respect for a team like that?
Well, first of all, I have tremendous respect for Coach Orser. He has done an unbelievable job there. He basically has been the one that's turned that program around. And so if you watch us play together, hopefully people think that we kind of mirror them a little bit in some ways. And because we do recruit a lot of the same type of kids and same style of players. And so I do watch a lot of film, and as coaches, we are thieves. We steal ideas from people, and so I've obviously watched their program a lot, and so we do a few things by that we try to do it well. But he was obviously very complimentary in the way our team played. He was actually complimentary before the game, the way our team had played and through all the adversity that we've been through, and was really impressed with how well our guys have been playing. And I mean, he's a class act guy, and he's gonna say things like that because that's the kind of guy he is. Yes?
Question and then a comment. With regard to stealing from other teams, I didn't realize till after the game that it sunk in, the UCGS game where their top three-point player was the one that threw the ball in, took the ball. Is that something that you're going to keep back in your mind?
Oh yeah, honestly, that play, we talked about that in the huddle, and Jack did a great job of switching out like he was supposed to. They really put a really good scheme together. They put their best athlete in the middle of the lane. So we had to dedicate two guys because we didn't have anybody that could jump as high as him, and especially with Mitch being out. And so we put Logan, who was guarding the out-of-bounds guy, and then we also put, I think, he left there. I can't remember who else was on it, but we had two guys on him, so they just couldn't throw it up to the front of the rim. And then we talked about they're probably going to go for the three. That's kind of a thing to do when you're on the road, is to go for the win instead of the tie. And so we talked about we're switching that out. I thought initially that we were late getting there. When I went back and watched the tape, Jack is there. That kid just did a tremendous job of elevating up over the top of him. But a little bit taller, a little bit more athletic, and it was just a player making a play. You got to give him a lot of credit for it. But Jack was right there. He had a hand up. He contested the shot. It's just we had a good defensive play. They just had a better offensive finish to it.
And my comment is beating the other school of mines who was #1 in the conference, undefeated in the conference. I think they were ranked 11 in the nation
Yep.
in NCAA. And you beat them with our 2 leading scorers unable to play. You're no longer below the radar screen. We didn't quite make it to the playoffs. But my guess is that there's probably 8 coaches that are in the process of writing a thank you note to you saying thanks for nothing.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, like you said, we're missing a couple key players, but I think you see the big thing about our team is that we're a team. Yeah, we do have some guys that we do count on in scoring, but we also have some guys that are pretty capable as well. The margin from taking a starter and a bench guy right now is pretty thin on our team. And that's a nice feeling to have as a coach when you know you've got some guys that you can trust to put in there with that. And it shows a lot, excuse me, my voice keeps going and I'm not getting emotional, I call it adult onset puberty. So, I crackled this morning and everybody laughed at me in practice, so, but anyway, we just really stress upon our guys that you may not be the right, playing how much you want or whatever it is, but you know, it doesn't mean that you're not a good player in our program. And we do have belief in everybody, and it's one of those things that we continue to talk about our self-worth. What is our self-worth to the team? And to look in the mirror and be honest with ourselves. And our guys have really done a good job of that. And I think that allows them, when we have adverse situations like that, to be able to step up and when it's their turn, so to speak, and be able to make a difference when they get in there. Yes?
I really enjoyed watching Troy Green. He is such a fun basketball player.
I do too.
He does so many things right on the court. Great. But as a coaching staff, would you like to see him shoot more?
Absolutely.
Oh.
We actually get on him quite a bit about that. You know, there's a lot of coaches that get on guys for shooting too much. We get on Troy for not shooting enough, and that's the truth. But he's starting to figure it out a little bit. You know, Troy came from a very, you know, he's a smart player. You know, give a lot of credit to his high school coach, Joe Ortiz, down at Thunder Ridge High School in Denver, Colorado. He's a tremendous high school basketball coach down there. He does a great job, and they got another great team. They're in the thick of it every year down there. And so when he came here, he already had a good idea of a lot of the concepts that we try to teach here. But from a shooting standpoint, Joe's had some players that have played at Gonzaga, Colorado, some really good guards. And you know, Joe called me about Troy, and we knew about Troy. He was skinny. He was kind of a late bloomer, not very strong. And Joe called me, he says, Coach, you need to take a strong look at this kid. And then when he told me one thing that really kind of struck with me, and then that's what made me go down and watch him again. He said, he's the best shooter I've ever coached. And when he said that, I said, okay, you've had some pretty good players, Coach. And he goes, I swear to you right now that he is the best shooter I've ever coached. And I actually went down and watched him play in a spring game for AAU, and he proved that. He had a game where he ended up hitting 8 threes in a game. The team was trying to put guys all over him, and he was creating shots and knocking them down. And I came back and said, yeah, we need to sign this kid. And so we did, and we're obviously very happy that we have him. But he has a little bit of a filter on him. You know, shoots up around 50% for the three. I tell him shoot until you're shooting 40%. You know, so, but you can see he's starting to kind of feel that through. And you know, he's only a sophomore, so he's still got some learning to do, and that's not an area you usually hear a lot of people talk about, that, you know, you're trying to get guys to shoot more. That's when usually it's less, but with him, yeah, we got to get him shooting more. Anybody else? Yes?
Just a comment. Just for both of you coaches this season, no matter what your record is, it's been exciting. Watching your kids play has been a thrill. I come every game and I'm excited. I know they're going to give their best effort. It's been a joy. And I look forward to next year.
Appreciate it, and but we're not done yet, are we, Coach Larsen?
No,
Okay. So again, thank you for your support, and we'll look forward to seeing you up at Spearfish on Friday.
All right, just a couple quick announcements before you guys get out of here. Obviously, as we've been talking, Friday night, you don't want to miss it. Spearfish, Black Hills, those are always the games that you want to be at. as a Hardrocker alumni, those are always the games that you don't want to lose. So I'm sure those coaches are instilling that in the players right now, and they want those wins. First of all, Mind Masters, excuse me, April 7th down in Phoenix. That's sounding really nice right now. It can't come soon enough. Alumni Weekend Golf is going to be April 12th. We're going to watch a little football, I think, right, Zach?
Yeah, 5 o'clock at Sioux Park.
5 o'clock, Sioux Park. We're going to watch some football, and then we're going to have a social at Thursday, 7 o'clock. April 13th, that Saturday, is the Bauer Track Meet. Don't forget to come out and support our track kids. And a big thank you to everybody. You know, these were our last home games this season. I guess in my short time frame here, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that nobody pays attention to. Brad, Tiffany, Anita, everybody who does all this. Thank you so much to Michelle for helping organize all these lunches. This is our last one here. You know, our cheerleaders and band, we've talked about this before. What an atmosphere this weekend. We really have to give a big shout out to them because they really bring it and help our players get through. I couldn't be prouder right now to be a Hardrocker, I think, after this last weekend. You know, we've gone through some adversity, but it's all about finding that grit and that will to win, whether it's a PR or a win on the basketball court, and we did it this weekend. And that's what athletics is all about. Again, thank you to Subway. What a great lunch. And don't forget to donate to our scholarships on hardrockclub.org. We want to bring these great athletes to our school so we can continue to excel. And next week is at Pizza Ranch South. I hope to see you all there. Okay? Have a great day. Thanks for coming, everybody.